So, welcome back to my channel. I am Caspian, and what you're hearing in the background are waffles. I'm making waffles. It's late afternoon, and I made waffles for my partner earlier today, and I was just so envious. And now he's not home, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna make that for me too. So I'm gonna make like a few waffles for myself, and thought I was gonna do this intro in the meantime. So welcome back, and this is where we are starting this vlog, just so you know, when it comes to days, books, pages, etc. So if you haven't watched my last vlog, this vlog series is me trying to read all of my library books that I have at home before the big renovation, because I will flee this town, this city, this suburb when that happens. So I will have to return all of the library books that I have at home. And I was so good today. Guys, because I returned 2 books. And I didn't come home with any more books, and that is so good of me. I strolled to the library and I was like, no. So yeah, I'm proud of that. That is hard. That is hard. So tomorrow I'm going to the library in the city, and I'm gonna return 1 book there as well. And yeah, just hold the thumb that I won't be leaving with another book, because you know, I already have 2 Sherlock Holmes books coming my way that I need to read, and those were not a part of this calculation, just so you know, because I don't know the page numbers for those yet. So yeah, I'm gonna tend to my waffle, and then I'm gonna talk about the book I'm reading. I need to be, have one eye on my waffle as well. So the book I'm reading right now, I started it yesterday evening. I have read about 42 pages. And so this is the Midnight Library by Matt Haig. I think that is the English name, that is Swedish. Yeah, it is. So in this book, it says like this on the back: between life and death there is a library, she said. And in that library, the shelves go on forever. Every book gives you an opportunity to try another life that you could have lived. Would you do anything different if you got the chance to redo what you regret? So I don't remember who read this that made me, made it on my radar. This is about a girl called Nora Seed, and it says like this: she ends up in a midnight library, and she gets a chance to make things right in her life, a life that up to this point have been filled with disappointment. It feels as if Nora has let down everyone around her, including herself, but now there's gonna be change, and with a little help of an old friend and the books of the Midnight Library, she can leave all that she regrets behind her. But the hunt for the perfect life doesn't just put herself, but eventually all of the Midnight Library in danger. Before the time runs out for Nora, she must find the answer to the question: what life does she really want to live? And I have barely touched the surface of this, just 42 pages, but I was thrown into, and this is trigger warning, content warning for everyone: suicide. Okay? Because that's how she ends up in the Midnight Library. And I want to say this, and I don't consider it a spoiler in the regular sense, because I would have wanted to know I was really thrown into her just negative, depressed mind, and then yeah, and then she's in the library. And I have just reached a point where she ends up in the library. So it's within the first few chapters that she goes through this horrible journey. So I don't know where this is going and how it's gonna feel. But yeah, that's where I am right now, and I will get back to you when I have read more. Or finished it. We'll see. Okay, so I don't know where to start, but I think I'm gonna start with this. So this is a book that contains all of the 4 ones that I need, that I want to read for, you know, catching up with Gavin's vlog. And the 2 that I have already read is in this book. But the 2 that I need to read is also in this book, so that's why I have it. It did, however, feel good to have these small paperbacks for the first 2 books, because I could read them in bed and I flew through them and it felt like nothing, you know. This feels like something. This feels like a chunker, you know. But I can start halfway through, or a bit less than. Because this bad boy is 482 pages, but I calculated and, you know, removed the pages for the books that I've already read. So I have an additional 264 pages, which isn't that much. It could have been more, you know. It could have been like 300, 350, because these are supposed to be novels. So, which me and my dad kind of have a difference of opinion on what is a novel and a novella. But I think I'm used to reading like big fantasy sci-fi books by now, and even big like romance books. There are big ones there as well, like most of them are at least 400 pages, so that's a novel to me. And he's like, oh, you're reading the novels. I'm like, no, I'm not. So I know the Sign of 4 was like 144 pages. And so if I divide these 2 that I need to read these books. I need to read The Hound of Baskerville and The Valley of Fear. And they are a total of 264 pages, which gives my new number. You know, I had yesterday I had 12 books and 4,959 pages and books to read, you know. Today I have 14 books and 523 pages to read. So, but I have been so good. I went there just when they were about to close, and that was good because that made me not linger and look for other books that I just had to come home with. And even so, I was in town today with my dad, or in the city, to just hang out a little bit, and we went to the library, like the most central library in Stockholm, I would say, the Kulturbiblioteket, the cultural library. And I returned a book that was due at that system, because that's the same as I usually go when I just take a bus. But I didn't linger. I didn't take up anything. I was busy asking my dad what he liked about Sherlock and telling him how I didn't. And I was like, I want to like it. And he was like, and you do? And I was like, no, I don't. He was like, yeah, you do. You do. And I was like, I can't. I don't think I can. I'm gonna read them because I was like, the crimes are somewhat intriguing. They aren't bad in the sense that the writing is bad and I can't stand it. But I said to him, I'm reading them because I want to understand why you like them. So let's hope I you know, get more out of them than thus far. And that's when he said, oh, but you're just reading the novels, you should read some novellas. And I was like, I'm reading what? They're tiny. They are tiny. But yeah, so those are the new stats. I can't take that one to bed. I'm trying to take this one to bed. I'm reading this one when I'm about to go to sleep, and it's you know, it's one of those, like, you almost drop it on your head when you are tired. So yeah, I have reached page 112, so 112. So we have now come as far as Nora. She's the one that offed herself and ended up in the Midnight Library. So the premise here is that she's between life and death. So and she needs to choose what life she wants to live instead of the one she didn't want. So she's trying out, she's borrowing books, and then as soon as she feels disappointment, then she's thrust back into the Midnight Library and starts all over again. So she's basically, I think this far she has lived 2 lives, or tried 2 lives, like a couple of hours that she didn't like and been thrown back. So I don't know what her next move is gonna be. And the thing is, she's going back to like the librarian is asking her, what choice would you have done different, or what do you regret? And she's like, well, I regret not doing this. Okay, let's try that. What if you had, so if I had done this, what would happen? And the librarian is, well, this book will let you know. And she's like, can't you just tell me? And the librarian's like, well, no, the only way to learn is to live. And how she phrases everything is really important, because there's been one more disappointment for me as well. So there is a trigger warning of a dead cat in this. Yeah. So yeah, we'll see where it will take us. And one bright thing, or I thought it was a bright thing for me, was that I was thinking like, okay, what do I regret? Because it does make you think. Like, do I have any regrets? Would I have done anything different? And I was like, well, I actually kind of like myself. And I like the people in my life. And I have done so much work to, you know, rid myself of things that are bad for me. And I haven't, you know, intentionally been like, oh, this person, I hate you. I've been more like, I deserve this. I've been good at setting boundaries, and I am actually happy with where I'm at. And you know, the only things that I'm curious about, like, I wonder where I would have been if I had chosen that career path or something like that. It would have led me to a completely different life, because it was so early on. It was a while back, and those decisions were before I met my current partner, my current friends, etc. So I was like, this book makes me feel happy about my life. But it also kind of triggered something, because I woke up at like 6 a.m. this morning and I was so anxious. And I don't know what I have dreamt to make me feel that way. And the last thing I did was read this book last night. So it took me like half an hour to fall asleep again, and, you know, turn my mind on, well, what's the best thing that can happen? So I don't know really what happened there, because I thought it was it was, you know, having a good influence on me. But we'll see when I keep reading, because if I get one more night like this and I'm actually triggered by her anxiety, then I might have to DNF, because I don't want that kind of energy in my life. So we'll see, but I do enjoy it. I enjoy her. I don't enjoy her disappointment, but I enjoy the concept of the book. So I hope it isn't what's triggering me. So yeah, that's where I'm at. And I'm sorry I don't have any fun B-roll. There were so many tourists in town today, and I think me and my father was just like holding our arms in like this, like to our sides, and just trying to get ahead to where we wanted to go. And I didn't pick up my camera, like my phone, once to do anything. And it's also, we don't really have, we have like rules in Sweden that you have to have consent to film other people or record them. So it's not as easy here to just pick up your phone and in like selfie record or anything, because you have to be wary of who is, you know, in the picture as well. So I tend to not do that a lot. I tend to only do it when I'm alone in the forest or something like that, or like if there's no one around, and that doesn't happen a lot because I do live in a suburb, and when I venture out of it, I'm either in the forest or I'm in town or like in the city of Stockholm, and there's a lot of people always. Or I go to like other centers in other suburbs, and there's also a lot of people there. So yeah, B-roll is hard. I don't have a cat or dog right now that can offer some entertainment. Not much hope for fluffy content. Is that something else? No. Four-legged content? Anyway, see you when I have finished this, I think. Okay, so I'm up later than usual, and I have an issue with the book. I have come quite far in. My only issue is the translation. It's like a minor thing, but you know, sometimes the minor things can be like and just kind of draw you out of the story. So in this case, it's like how we would say something in Swedish. So the translator have translated like a sentence, a phrase, word for word, and that's not how Swedish people would say it in that context, and it kind of took me out of the story. I think it's only happened this once thus far, but it's still like, no, that's not how you say it. And yeah, I think you know what I mean. Hopefully, maybe. So it's 20 minutes to midnight, and I'm going to bed soon, but not now. I want to read a little bit more first. So this is my kind of pajama t-shirt. You know, a t-shirt I used to love that was amazing until it wasn't amazing anymore. It was just worn out, and now I use it like in the evenings before I go to bed, especially like now when I have recently taken a shower and I have you know, lotioned myself, and I didn't want the lotion on the inside of my still good t-shirt, any of them. So yeah, and I am knackered for 3 reasons. First of all, it's been raining all day, and rain makes me feel like that. And the second reason is that I didn't get that much sleep yesterday. So right now it's 9 p.m. Last night I didn't get enough sleep for some reason. probably because my partner is not home. I always have a hard time going to sleep when he's not home. So I ended up not falling asleep until I thought the time was around like 1:30 or something, and I was like, oh, okay. Apparently it wasn't. It was 2:30 when I fell asleep. And then I woke up around 8 a.m. and that means I got like 5.5 hours sleep, and that's not enough for me. That's not nearly enough. I did feel okay though. So yeah, my body was alright, but I have felt this heaviness all day. It's also maybe the energies. If you follow me on my other channel, you might know what I'm talking about the energies of today. But anyway, the rain, the fact that I didn't sleep enough, and then the third reason is that I have had so much to do. And I did go into this day having a lot to do. Because my partner is out of town, and that means that I have an opportunity to catch up on things that I haven't had the chance to catch up on, or that I have to go into the bedroom and work on when he's home, because he's on a vacation. Like he's in vacation mode, so I can't sit here and have meetings or anything in this room where I usually work when he's at home, and because we will just disturb each other, and so I have to go into the bedroom unless I can be outdoors, and the weather has not been on my side. Neither have the noise. All of the renovations going on in my neighborhood, so there's been no calm space at all. So today, when my partner is out of town, he's out of town tomorrow as well, but I'm gonna get to that. Today when he was out of town, or is out of town, I was like, oh, I can catch up on this and this and this, and I had like this list, and I think I got like, I had 5 things on the list. I think I finished 2, and then got halfway through 2 different ones, and then I have 1 that's not been done. So that's where I'm at. And sure, I could do them now in the evening, but I don't want to, because there comes a time when I just feel knackered, and that's now. So I'm not gonna do anything else. I have also done a workout, cooked proper meals today, and I took a shower, and now I just want a cup of tea and read my book, and that's it. Because tomorrow I'm going to meet a friend, and I wanted tomorrow to be empty, and also my partner comes home in the evening tomorrow, so I might have some time in the morning to do some work, but I wanted to have tomorrow off, so I could just meet up with her and do whatever we felt like. So that's still my attitude towards tomorrow. So we'll see. But right now I'm gonna continue reading this book, and I'm gonna just be. Yeah. Okay, listen to this. Kind of epic. Nora wanted to live in a world where no cruelty existed, but the only worlds she had access to were all ones with people in them. Yeah. Okay, that was emotional. Okay, that was emotional. I don't know if you can see that I have been crying, because the ending was emotional. It was superb. This is a 5-star book. It truly is. Not just because it is
2 minutes to midnight, and I should be in bed. But because it's 2 minutes to midnight, and I should be in bed, and instead I stayed up because I couldn't put it down. Mwah. So yeah, 5 stars. My only note is that one translation error. That has nothing to do with the author or the book in itself. So yeah, no, it was gripping, it was intense, it was interesting, and I just had to know where it was going. And after that first night, where I had a bout of anxiety myself after reading the first few chapters, nothing like that, but it's been like one other night, so it hasn't taken me that long to read this. But yeah, I don't really know what to say about it, because I have been talking about it during, and yeah, it's the same concept all the way. She's visiting the Midnight Library in between different lives, and there's a lot of lives that she's entering and trying, and somewhere along the line there is this long paragraph about how many lives she's visiting, but you don't get to see them all, like, yeah. And then it starts to you start to be with her again, and have, when she experiences these lives. And yeah, I don't want to spoil anything, because this was amazing, and the twist at the end, I was so sure. I knew where it was going, and then the Midnight Library started shaking and earthquakey, and it was like, is she dying now? Is she truly dying? Or what F is happening, yeah, it just took such a big turn, and I think from that point on, the tears just started rolling. Even before then, yeah. So, I don't know, I think the last 50 pages was just like tears streaming down my face. I'm so happy with this book. I don't think I want to read it again. It's kinda, reminiscent of a thriller in that way. That I've read it once, I've experienced it, it was amazing, and now I want to see what more he has written. Kinda like that. So it's not a book that I think I want to relive. I don't think so. We'll see. I won't buy it, but I will recommend it. Yeah, so I'm gonna go to bed, and tomorrow I'm gonna start something new. So, good night.
Okay, so I'm making gluten-free pizza. This is dough that is left over from yesterday, and I have pushed it out into a pie. This is like a for pie. And I pushed it out, and this is my tomato sauce. I'm gonna cover it with tomato sauce all the way out into the edges. So I made this dough yesterday, and I had one pizza for dinner. It makes 2 pizzas. One dough makes 2 pizzas. So I'm gonna do like that, and then I'm gonna put it in the oven and have it in here for 10 minutes. Have it in here for 10 minutes, and then I'm gonna put all of whatever I want on top of it. So while my pizza is in the oven, I'm going to talk about this one, because this is going to be my next read, I think. This is the one that is due the next on my list of library books. So this is called Shogun, Generalerna som ledde Japan by Ingemar Ottosson. This is the generals that led Japan. And the back of it says, Shogun was the title of Japanese leaders for almost 700 years, from the Middle Ages and up until the second half of the 19th century. The real power was with the Shogun, even if he formally always stood one step below the Tsar. Is that a Tsar? It says the Swedish word for like Kaiser, Caesar, Tsar. I don't know the English word for that. Shoguns reigned over heavily armed warriors and more or less reliable people beneath us. That, I guess, vassals? No. With a steady hand, they ruled Japan through the attack of the Mongols, internal conflict, the arrival of Portuguese missionaries, and the military threats from the US, I guess. It says the Americans, but I don't know if that's the US or if it's the Americas. I'm here to learn about that. And they survived multiple dangerous crises and was developed over time from being generals on the battlefield to being predictable bureaucrats. The historian Ingemar Ottosson is here depicting a fascinating story about power, betrayal and loyalty. In this story we meet successful shoguns and their families, free samurais, warrior monks and influential concubines. This book is the first in its kind in Swedish. So this is my next read, and it's 178 pages long. So with my current pace, if I don't read anything else, I will be done with this in 2 days. Maybe 3 days, because I am a bit ahead of my page when it comes to my page count, because I finished in Midnight Library yesterday. So maybe 3 days. It's Tuesday today. No, it's Thursday today. So maybe I will be done with this sometime this weekend. But I'm interested, and I hope I will continue reading the whole story and not get bored in the middle. I hope my interest is gonna be not just, it's peaked and I want to know more, but I hope I can maintain it all the way through. I'm not used to reading non-fiction like in one go. I'm used to, like, you know, little by little. So we'll see how I do with this, but I'm planning on this to be my next read and only focusing on this. I have another non-fiction as well. I might, you know, mix those two, but yeah, because I don't think that I think I need a gap between the Midnight Library and my next fiction, because that one was so emotional. I need just some distance. I need something like black and white almost before going into something like that again, because I still feel wrecked. But yeah, so that's where I'm at, and I'm gonna continue making my pizza now. Okay, so I'm in the woods and I'm actively searching for the area that burned. And I feel like I know where it is, but it's like the pots take me away from it. Like I'm actively going towards where I think it is, and I have this area in the woods in mind. But whatever path I take, I get like further away from it. And now I'm almost back where I entered the woods, and I'm like, but I should have passed it, but I didn't pass it. It's like the woods are a labyrinth today. So apparently I'm spiritual, so I'm taking that as today is not the day to visit. But today's the last day before we're gonna have like rain for 3 or 4 days again, and I wanted to get out and just look, but I guess I'm gonna have to wait. So if you see no more woods from me today, then that is why. And I will, if I find the spot, then I will show you. I'm still out and about. Just want to say hello to a friend of mine. This thistle that is way taller than me. This I was gonna put my hands on it, but it's like no, it's, you know, I'm not gonna do that. But it's very beautiful. And there's a bumblebee up top. That likes it as much as I do. Okay, so that was unexpected. I'm on my way home and it's way later, because I found something that I needed to call the cops on. So yeah, I called them, waited on the spot for total of like 40 minutes, maybe 30-40 minutes more, I think. And now I just left them there to do what they want to do. I found something, didn't touch it, you know, did what I have to do, or what I want to do as a citizen, law-abiding citizen, and yeah. So now I am so hungry. I'm on my way home and I'm so hungry. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. And read a book. Maybe. Yeah, read. Okay, so I have now finished this one. I did think that I needed to mix it in another book, like a fiction book, after like the first chapter. I think like the prologue, I was like, oh, this is heavy, I'm gonna have to mix in something else. But then it kind of, I don't know if I got into it more or if the language actually became more easy to understand. But I didn't do that, so I mean, I didn't mix in another book. So I have focused on this one and then only read a little bit of One Spirit Medicine, my other non-fiction book, at the same time, for two reasons. The first being that I needed to read something other than this to keep my reading streak on Fable, because this was not in Fable's library. And then the second reason was that I calculated that I need to read about 11 pages a day from that book to read it all before I have to return it. So I could, you know, so I read those 11 pages a day while reading this. So, what did I think of this? I'm gonna give it 4 stars out of 5. It was a 5-star for like a long time. Like, when it comes to the knowledge in this book, and the way the author delivered it. It's about 4.5, because it started off, and even after the prologue, it started off being very heavy in like info dumping, but also like he was trying to do storytelling, and then it was info dumping. It's the inconsistency, like he was not sure how he wanted to deliver the information. That is what took it down a notch for me. Because if it had been only info dumping, I would have treated this book in, you know, one way and got into it one way. I would have gotten into it, but I would have chosen maybe to read a little bit at a time. If he had chosen entirely to do a storytelling, then I would have, you know, chose another approach to it. So it was the inconsistency in the beginning that I was like, oh, this is not really, this is weird. And then as the story went on, it became more storytelling, but with some instances. So this covers 700 years of Shogun history. I didn't retain all of the knowledge. I would need to read it again to retain all the knowledge. So anyway, it covered all of this time, right? And he stated in the beginning, the author Otto, that it was going to be chronological. And it was, but when he started talking about like one really prominent shogun, then he talked about that shogun's entire life, and then hopped back to the shogun that took over after that one resigned, instead of focusing on their time of reign, and then, you know, weave in that, oh, but this one was still alive and doing this. So that's what he chose to do, and that would have been completely fine. I would have gotten into that and thought that that was good, if it weren't for the fact that he then started talking about the other shogun that, you know, he had already talked about his entire lifespan. He came back to that per individual again. And that happened several times. It was very confusing, and most of the time the information that came when he was like, oh, and this happened with this one that I didn't mention, then that was like superfluous. That's a really good word, and I don't know if I am pronouncing it right because I've only read it, but it was too much. It was superfluous is the only word I can think of, because that is the word in that is the direct translation of the word in Swedish. Unnecessary overflow of information. It didn't really, you know, it didn't have a place there. So that's what I thought about, like the writing style and that sort of thing. When it comes to the information in the book, it was exactly what I needed to satisfy my need for learning about the Shogun. So now I know more, like, overall. I think there are some things I'm still intrigued about, but yeah. And then one last thing that really took it down to a 4-star for me, and that is that the author's language was at times unnecessarily misogynistic, and not in the way like, oh, that is how they talked back then, because he didn't really do that. He only mentioned like words for things and how those changed, how language changed for like describing shoguns and samurais and that sort of thing over a period of time, but it wasn't really about, you know, going into the culture and what people thought about women or men or children or whatever. So at times he was misogynistic in his language when speaking about women. I remember one instance with like geishas, and I was like, that's tacky, that's distasteful. It really showed a side of the author coming through instead of the culture that he was describing. That's my interpretation of it, and if I'm wrong, then okay, but it came through for me as his as coming from the author and not from the culture. So yeah. And there's also one instance where I actually marked the page. He has talked about a shogun that got a nickname like the dog shogun or something, because he had cared for dogs, because he was born in the year of the dog. So, and then it says both of his successors was short, like they had a short span of reign. They were both weak and insignificant. And the thing is, he used this kind of language sometimes, and it really feels, and this is Swedish, so I'm reading the Swedish, and he's Swedish, so I know that when he's wording it like that, he means it like they were weak and insignificant. And I'm like, weak? Weak? And it just felt like he was really like, ugh, I hate those guys, they're weak and insignificant. That's kind of how it came across. It wasn't just, it didn't come across as simply a comparison to like, this one was successful, this one wasn't. He could have said that they didn't do anything significant, or they didn't accomplish anything that history found significant enough to put emphasis on. There's so many ways to not call a person in history weak and insignificant. And he used that language a lot. That some people were weak, and they were and that's the kind of the misogynistic language I got also when talking about like women, even though he tried to say that women could be emperors or empresses, women could be samurais and that sort of thing. And when he did that, it was like, actually they could actually accomplish this, and actually you do this. Like, it was out, not like, I don't know if he expects the reader to be like, oh, could women do that? That's amazing, with how weak they are. That's kind of how it came across, that either he expected me as the reader to have that view, and he was like, you know, actually they could do this, or if it's an internalized view of, you know, emperors that didn't accomplish anything, and women that they actually could. You know, it came across as his misogyny and his internalized thinking and views that he projected out onto the reader, and was trying to convince me of different things. And it was like, what is this? Just give me the facts, dude. So, yeah, I did enjoy the storytelling aspect that came through, you know. And I enjoyed getting to know more about shoguns, but I did not enjoy this author that much. So 4 stars I can give it because of the knowledge, and because of the way it was delivered mostly. And then there's just, you know, the 2 caveats of his misogyny, and also the inconsistencies where he was like hopping back and forth, even though it was supposed to be chronological. I would have almost wished for some of the information to be like listed instead of storytelling, because it became confusing at times. So those are my thoughts on Shogun, the generals that led Japan. I don't know if it's translated, it only came out last year. So yeah, and with that book I'm gonna end this vlog, the second vlog in my finish my library books in time challenge. So I now have this many days left, this many books left, and this many pages left to accomplish. And I will start the next vlog later today, because I have a book picked out. So I will do an intro later today, because I finished this yesterday, so the page count is including today. So yeah, that's where we're at. I hope you're enjoying your reading and having a lovely summer. Xingling.